There's something different about the quiet hours of the night. That's when the stories come out, the ones no one talks about in daylight. Abandoned floors, red lanterns, voices in the mirror. They're not just tales. Someone lived through them. Welcome to Echoes in the Dark. 5 true horror stories. Or at least they were true to the ones who never came back. You've been warned. Renovating an old house in rural Iowa. One of those foreclosure properties no one had lived in for over a decade. It was just me, working solo, stripping old floorboards and rewiring the place. The crawl space under the house gave me the creeps from day one. It was unusually deep, almost like a mini basement, with a dirt floor and thick cobwebs that hadn't been touched in years. One night, while staying late to finish a job, I heard thumping under the floorboards. Not mice, not pipes, heavy, like a person crawling underneath. I grabbed my flashlight and climbed down into the crawl space. The air was thick and stale. My beam swept across the dirt, catching something weird in the corner. A pair of boots, old cracked leather, still filled with feet. There was a man crouched in the shadows, completely still, pale, filthy, eyes wide open but not blinking. "Hey!" I shouted. He didn't move. When I got closer, I realized he wasn't real, a corpse maybe, but he looked too fresh, like he just died yesterday. His mouth was slightly open, like he was whispering something. Then I noticed the wall behind him, a thin panel of wood, oddly clean compared to the rest. I pried it off. Behind it was a room. A hidden one. Inside were dozens of VHS tapes, each one labeled with a date and a name. Some names were crossed out. I took one, played it upstairs in my old combo TV. It was footage, grainy and distorted, of the man in the crawl space, alive, sitting in a chair, crying, pleading. Then he looked directly at the camera and said, "If you're watching this, it means he picked you next." The screen went black. I turned to look at the hallway and the crawl space door was open again. Except I had locked it. I ran outside and called the sheriff. They searched the place and said there was no body, no tapes. They thought I imagined it. Stress, exhaustion, paranoia. I moved out that night, never looked back. But here's the thing. 2 months later, I got a package on my porch. No return address. Inside was a single VHS tape, labeled with my name and tomorrow's. The Red Lantern. I was out in the Louisiana bayou for work, running electrical for a new hunting cabin some rich guy was building way off the grid. Nearest town was 30 miles out, and the locals all gave me weird looks when I said where I was headed. One old gas station clerk even muttered, "Watch for the red light at night, and whatever you do, don't follow it." I thought it was just swamp ghost talk, folklore, but on the third night, camped out near the site, I saw it. A dim red lantern swinging in the dark just past the tree line. It wasn't a fire, it moved too smoothly, too deliberately. I grabbed my flashlight and followed. The ground was wet, sucking at my boots with every step. The red light always stayed just far enough ahead to keep me walking. I started to feel like I was being watched. Then I found it, the lantern, hanging from a tree branch, still glowing, but no one was holding it. And just below it, half sunken in the mud, was a boat. Inside it, bones, dozens of them, human. I turned to run, but I wasn't alone. A figure stepped out of the brush. Pale face, hollow eyes, no mouth. It pointed at the boat, then at me, then everything went black. I woke up at my camp, covered in mud, shaking, but alive. Here's the twist. Back in town, I tried to find that gas station clerk to tell him what happened. But the clerk who was there now said no one by that name had ever worked there. He looked confused when I mentioned the Red Lantern. So I described the guy. Gray beard, cloudy eye, limp in his left leg. The clerk went pale. He walked to the back, grabbed an old newspaper and handed it to me. The headline read, "Gas station owner found dead in bayou, body discovered in sunken boat." And the picture was the same man who warned me not to follow the law. Room 313. I was working out of state doing night shift maintenance at an old hotel in Pennsylvania. The kind built in the 1920s with gold-trimmed elevators, creaky stairs, and too much damn history. Half the rooms were empty, but the top floor was sealed off. No guests, no lights, just a dusty hallway and boarded-up windows. Management told us to avoid it. Structural issues, they said. But one night, the elevator stopped on the 13th floor. There wasn't supposed to be a 13th floor. The panel went from 12 straight to 14. No button for 13, and yet, there I was. Doors opened, lights flickering. Long hallway stretching into pitch black. I should have gone back down. Instead, I stepped out. There was only one door, room 313. The brass number was tarnished and scratched like someone had tried to rip it off. The door wasn't locked. It opened with a long, dragging creak. The room was ice cold. No furniture, no carpet, just concrete floors and cracked walls. And in the center, a chair. Facing the corner, someone was sitting in it. I called out, no response. The person in the chair had long black hair, their head tilted at a strange angle. I walked closer, slowly. When I got within 5 feet, the overhead light buzzed and popped. The person stood up, without turning around. And that's when I heard it. A voice behind me whispering, "Do not look away." I froze. Another whisper, this time to my left. "Keep watching." I looked back at the figure, still not facing me, now floating 2 inches above the floor. Then, they turned around, but there was no face. Just a mirror, a perfect polished mirror, reflecting me. Except the reflection was grinning, and I ran. Down the hallway, slammed the elevator button. When the doors finally opened, I looked back. Room 313 was gone, just a wall. I quit the next day and drove straight home. But here's the twist. Weeks later, I woke up in my apartment, middle of the night, freezing cold. I checked the thermostat. It was set to 31.3 degrees, and I hadn't touched it. Then I noticed something scratched into my bathroom mirror. We switched places. Zach bought a cheap piece of land out near Adams, Tennessee. Said he wanted peace and quiet. Build a little place, raise goats, get away from the noise. But from the second he moved in, things were off. He started hearing knocking on the walls at night, scratching under the floorboards. He figured raccoons or possums. Then the goats started dying. Not chewed up, no blood, just lying there, eyes wide open, stiff as boards. He called me after the third one, told me something was wrong, said the place felt mean, like the air had weight. I stayed over one night just to help him out. We sat on the porch, drank a few beers, laughed it off. At 2:53 a.m., the house went dead silent. No wind, no bugs. Even the goats stopped making noise. Then we heard it, a woman's voice, whispering our names from inside the house. But we were both on the porch. I kicked the door in. Nothing inside, just cold. That night I dreamed of a woman in a black dress floating off the floor, her face wrong. Jaw unhinged, eyes gone. She kept saying, "This is still my land." When I woke up, Zach was already packing. Told me he saw her too, and he was done. Later we found out the land sits a mile from the old Bell family property. Folks around there won't even say the name out loud. Zach sold the place, took a $30K loss. The new owners didn't last a week. Just after 2 a.m. when I heard the knock. 3 soft taps. Not loud, but they echoed through the whole trailer. I live alone, middle of nowhere, Iowa. Nearest neighbor's a mile up the road. No reason anyone should be knocking at that hour. I grabbed my flashlight and cracked the door. 2 kids stood there, one boy. One girl, both pale, dressed old-fashioned, like thrift store church clothes. They didn't look up, just stood stiff. The boy finally said, "Can we come in?" "Our parents will be here soon." I asked if they were lost. No answer, just silence. Then the girl looked up. Her eyes, no whites, no color, just solid black, like polished stones. I took a step back, heart pounding. "Let us in," the boy said again, voice flat. "We can't come in unless you invite us." I slammed the door, locked every bolt. They stood there for hours, no movement, just watching through the window. By sunrise, they were gone. The weirdest part? My security camera feed went black at exactly 1:59 a.m. Only came back online at 5:47, like they never wanted to be recorded. I don't know what they were. But if a kid knocks at your door after midnight, don't open it. And for the love of God, don't say yes. If you made it this far, then maybe you're not like the others. Maybe you're meant to hear these things, to remember them. But be careful. Stories have a way of following people home. Subscribe if you want more, or don't. Either way, we'll be waiting for you in the dark. Echoes in the dark.